Sir Jim Ratcliffe's Manchester United budget has been revealed, and a key player suffers a major injury setback. Those are the things we'll be discussing on today's show. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel bottom right hand corner. So let's start off with this Sir Jim Ratcliffe story. This has been broken exclusively by Sky News. Now, this isn't by Sky Sports. I think there's a big difference here. This is by the business section over at Sky News, and they're reporting this afternoon the Manchester United deal, Sir Jim Ratcliffe to unveil $300 million or £245 million investment alongside 25% stake. So people are probably wondering, what does this mean? Is this good? Is this bad? Please break this down for me. So ultimately, if anybody remembers what happened with Chelsea when the owners took over a couple of years ago, I think they bought the club for around 2.5 billion, and the owners, the new owner, pledged to invest, I think it was 2 billion into the infrastructure, into players, and all the rest of it. So this is a similar story to what happened with Chelsea there. This is where Sir Jim Ratcliffe commits to a certain amount of money that he will make available to Manchester United upon completing the deal for 25%, and that figure that he's pledged is 245 million. So it is. It's an eighth of what Chelsea were pledged. I mean, when you just think of that on its own, it sounds terrible. But this 245 million is specifically going to be spent on the infrastructure. So that will be the stadium, that will be Carrington, that will be obviously in and around Old Trafford, all the rest of it, right? Which, to be honest, we all know is in massive need of investment. Huge. The roof is leaking. The toilets are overflowing. If any of you've been to Old Trafford recently, it's falling apart. Honestly, there are stadiums in the Championship, in League One, that are of a higher quality than Old Trafford. Yes, it's a big stadium. Yes, it's impressive. Yes, it has a lot of memories, and it's, a very historic ground. But by way of how it's been maintained, it's miles behind any of the other top stadiums. If you think of Tottenham Stadium, you think of Everton are about to have a brand new stadium, you think of what the Etihad is like, etc. So he's willing to pay 245 million towards the stadium. So I'll read out the article for you quickly, and then of course we can break it down. So it says Sir Jim Ratcliffe will commit £245 million from his multi-billion pound fortune to Manchester United's football club's ageing infrastructure as part of a deal to acquire a 25% stake that will be unveiled this month. So it looks like Sir Jim Ratcliffe has won the deal. I know everybody thought that maybe Qatar would come back into the race, but I think that it's over now. I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe has won the bid, and Sky Sports, not even Sky Sports, Sky News Business are saying that it will be announced later this month. It then goes on to say that Sky News can exclusively reveal that Sir Jim Ratcliffe, founder of the Ineos company, will pledge the investment alongside the acquisition of a sharehold likely to be worth around 1.25 billion. So he's going to give the Glazers 1.25 billion for 25% of the club, and then he's also going to give Manchester United an additional 245 billion, which will be then billion. We need to be very careful there. It's definitely not billion, it's million. 245 million, which will then be spent on the stadium. It says they added that it would be financed by Sir Jim Ratcliffe personally, and it would not add to Manchester United's existing debt. It says Sir Jim Ratcliffe's purchase of 25%, first revealed last month by Sky News, will come almost exactly after the Glazer family announced that they were exploring different options. Now, the big issue for me here, right? Who in their right mind thinks £245 million is going to build us a new stadium or even renovate Old Trafford? I did a bit of a research once this story came out, right? And there was 3 different options that were apparently presented to the Glazers. There was a £1 billion option, a £2 billion and a £3 billion. £1 billion was renovate the stadium budgetly. £2 billion was make Old Trafford, the current stadium, the best stadium in world football. Kind of like what Real Madrid did to the Bernabeu, kind of what Barcelona are doing to Camp Nou at the moment. Make it unbelievable, but still have that Old Trafford bricks and mortar there, but, look fresh and new. That would cost you around £2 billion. To have a whole new stadium, it's going to be around £3 billion. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe's going to give us 245 million. So he's giving us less than a quarter of what the cheapest option that was presented to the Glazers to sort the stadium out would cost. What's that going to be? Fixing the roof? A bit of paint? I don't know. I mean, 245 million, I know to me or you sounds like a lot of money, but when you think of the colossal job that it will be to sort Old Trafford out, as I said, 1 billion cheapest option, 2 billion the kind of median option, and 3 billion for a whole new stadium. Absolutely crazy money. And 245 million is going to get us absolutely nowhere, to be honest. Nowhere. It's not even going to touch the wall. It's not even going to touch the sides. And we haven't even thought about Carrington. What's going to happen there? Our training facilities are way behind all the rest of them. We don't have a women's stadium. We don't have a under-21 stadium. You know, Man City have got all of these things. They've got a stadium for the women, a stadium for the under-21. They've got the best facilities at, you know, their training ground. They've got one of the best stadiums. We've got a crumbling mess of a stadium. No stadium for our women's team, which is a disgrace. No stadium for our under-21s, which is a disgrace. And our facilities, as Ronaldo said, are an absolute joke. They were the same as they were when he was here 10 plus years ago. You know, the gym facilities are supposedly all old and all the rest of it. And it's just frustrating. It is, because we obviously had this carrot dangled in front of our nose, you know, a full sale. The full sale was never going to happen. The Glazers wanted someone to come in and facilitate them. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe, stupidly, is going to be that person who will be known forever as the Glazers facilitator. You know, I know that most people think he's doing this for legacy. He's doing this, you know, to be remembered as a part owner of Manchester United. For me, he's always just going to be known as the man who, you know, facilitated the Glazers staying. I don't know. I guess you could argue that maybe, you know, if they didn't want to sell anyway, then what other option do we have? Would you rather have Sir Jim Ratcliffe with 25%, or would you rather have the Glazers 100%? I'll be honest with you, I would rather just keep the Glazers. I would, because I think that eventually you'd be able to get rid of them. Whereas as soon as Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes in, unless there's an exit plan where he is guaranteed to buy the rest of the shares in X amount of years, they could just say no and hold on to it forever then. And then you've got, you know, X amount on the New York Stock Exchange, 25% with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, 30-odd% with, probably about 44% with the Glazers. Do you see what I mean? Manchester United is getting diluted to all these different people, all of these different voices with different opinions and different methods and all the rest of it. And how are we ever going to have one owner of Manchester United ever again? I just don't see it happening. And I think that this is not going to please a lot of Man United fans. 245 million, that's an absolute joke. It's an absolute joke. I mean, that's how much we should be spending on players in one transfer window, not our budget to build or rebuild a whole stadium that's in an absolute state. Like, it makes zero sense. If it was 245 to spend in January and next summer, combined budget, plus an additional 1 or 2 billion for the stadium, I would still be critical, but I would say, you know, that sounds a bit more realistic. You know, spend 250 million on the playing squad, get rid of a load of players, reinvest the money you get from selling players, spend 1 to 2 billion on the stadium. Maybe then I'd be a little bit more interested in what Sir Jim Ratcliffe might bring. But I just think this is honestly a disgrace, to be honest with you. And this is the first of proper news outlets reporting on what the finite details of this deal are, because we've all been speculating for the last couple of weeks. But Sky Business, this is an exclusive story that they've reported straight from Sir Jim Ratcliffe's camp, and that's what he's pledged. And the thing is, with new owners, they have to pledge a certain amount of investment, and that has to be made public. Obviously, as I said, Chelsea did it with whatever he's called, Todd Boehly. Let me just double check what that was. It was crazy, honestly, the pledged investment. And people said, why are they spending so much money? All the rest of it. It was because when they took over, they pledged that they would spend X amount of money. And that was, so they bought it for 2.5 and then they pledged a further 1.7 billion pounds. That was what Todd Boehly did with Chelsea a year or so ago. He bought the club for 2.5 and he said, I will give also 100% a guarantee of 1.75 billion to be spent on players over the next however many years. Sir Jim Ratcliffe's willing to give us 200 million. It's an absolute joke. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. And then just quickly on the injury situation, it has been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano and Manchester United that Casemiro is now out injured. Will be out for a few weeks with a hamstring injury. It says assessment has revealed a strain that will keep him out for a number of weeks. So we've lost Casemiro as well now. Hamstrings are never a quick one to bring back. I would say probably 3-4 weeks minimum. McTominay is going to be in there. Hopefully, let's just pray that we see some Kobe Mainoo. Whether or not he's ever going to become the player we all think he is, that's up for debate, of course. But I don't want to ever have to see McTominay in that CDM position ever again, or Eriksen. I think both of them aren't good enough to play there. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on everything we discussed on today's show. Let me know your thoughts on Sir Jim Ratcliffe's pledged investment of 245 million. Also, let me know how big of a miss Casemiro is. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Daily Red Devil. I've been Kieran, and please make sure to smash a like. Please do subscribe on your way out, and I'll speak to you all a bit later.